Bat! Bat! If you go, where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, Scarlet, I don't give a... No, that is not the line. The correct quote is, frankly, my dear.
I had no idea you cared so much about people getting movie quotes right.
You have no idea.
Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, I'm taking a look at the MAFEX Scarlet Spider by Medicom. Starting off the packaging, and as always, Medicom knows how to put together a nice box. Wide and wonderful window showing us all the goodies we're gonna get. You may not have put this together based on the channel, but turquoise is my favorite color, so I love this choice. Really fun 90s style graphic of Ben in the corner. Zooming on in though, MAFEX might regret that choice, but we'll get there when we get there. Fun product shot on one side. This is their 186th figure. Another fun shot on the other side. What do you want me to do about it? On the back we get even more product shots, once again illustrating that the hood comes up, a rare shot of an action figure from the back, and a hint at the included accessories. And don't forget this adorable little bear peeking out from behind a wall. Why are Mommy and Daddy fighting again? Is it because of me? Well, that got dark. I think I might be looking at the wrong Spider-Man. For packaging, Scarlet Spider gets 1 whole point. Forget about it! Moving on to presentation, and Scarlet Spider stands at 6 1/4 inches. This puts him perfectly in scale with previous MAFEX Spider-Man figures and Marvel Legends. Speaking of Marvel Legends, I'm sure a lot of you would have probably liked this to have been a versus, but at this point there really isn't a contest. The MAFEX figure is bright and vibrant, his joints are pinless, and there's even a bit of subtle shading to bring out the muscular definition. I've got you trapped in my well-defined musculature. He shares a lot of parts with Black Costume Spider-Man, but not as many as I would have thought. The arms are reuse, the web shooters being a separate piece glued in place. And just take a look at these web shooters with their individual capsules. Compare that to Marvel Legends, which is just a silver tube with some black lines painted on. Hasbro made the ankle pouch as a separate piece that slipped over the lower leg, but to Medicom's credit, they re-sculpted the lower leg to make them part of the body. The thighs and knees, however, are reuse. Since the hoodie is a fabric overlay, I kind of wondered if it just went over the Black Costume Spider-Man body. Pulling the hoodie up though, and nope. Since the torso is hidden, they could have reused this and saved a couple of bucks, but they didn't. They could have gone the Hasbro route and slid some pouches over an existing leg, but they didn't. They could have saved a lot of money with reuse, but they didn't, and I respect that. That said, the devil's in the details, and there are a couple of minor things that do disappoint me. That brings us back to this picture. Scarlet's Spider logo is just way too small. Similar to Hasbro, it should be taking up most of the torso. Flipping it around and it should also be on the back. The other issue is the belt. The broad strokes are there with a brown leather strap and silver capsules, but the buckle's completely wrong. Going back over to Hasbro, and this silver within silver square with a big red button is correct. Again, it's right there on the box. Without the buckle, it just looks like Batman's utility belt. Given how meticulous Medicom is, it really surprises me. Inaccurate Spider aside though, and I absolutely love this hoodie. It's a very bright blue like from the comic. The drawstrings aren't functional, but they look great. It's taut enough where you can actually see some muscular definition underneath. And then there's the hood itself. Not only is it sewn, but it's also wired. That way it sits over his shoulders nice and flush. Pulling it up and he is totally ready for a rap battle. Like it or not, when it comes to action figures, reuse is the name of the game. To Medicom's credit, the reuse here is smart, and there's plenty of new pieces to make this figure distinct. Even so, I do feel the need to hold Medicom to a much higher standard because this is MAFEX and it's also very expensive, so the inaccuracies on the hoodie and belt will cost them. For presentation, I'm giving Scarlet Spider half a point. Moving on to posability, and that's one of the best parts of a MAFEX figure. From the top, and his head's in a dumbbell joint with a tiny notch in the peg to help him look more up or down. There's also an additional joint in the neck nicely hidden by the hoodie. In combination with all that, he can look up this much, this far down, which is amazing, absolutely incredible tilt, and of course all the way around. Swivel hinge shoulders raise up 90 degrees, but similar to a DC Multiverse, there's a rotator cuff in there. This allows him to reach even higher, and also move forward and back. Naturally, Ben has bicep swivel, pinless double jointed elbows with a perfect bend. MAFEX has its own own unique system for that. At the end of the arm, he has wrist balls nicely hidden by the web shooters. These allow for swivel, hinging up and down, or side to side. Move into the middle and he has a diaphragm joint and a dumbbell waist. You can't see it because of the hoodie, but based on other Spider-Man figures, we know how this works. Additionally, the belt and hoodie do a fantastic job of hiding those joints. Altogether, he can arch back this far and hunch forward this far, which is spectacular. In fact, hunching him forward and we can see his copyright tramp stamp. He also has a very impressive amount of tilt and twist. Below the utility belt, he has ball jointed hips, but they can actually drop down to increase his kick. Because of that, he can kick 90 degrees and do a near perfect split. The upper leg is also built over a ball that allows for thigh swivel. This right here is about the best you're ever going to get without an actual cut. Then traveling down, he's got pinless double jointed knees. Similar system as the elbow. I do think MAFEX looks a lot more natural. Traveling all the way down, and Scarlet Spider has toe articulation and ankle balls that can swivel, hinge, and pivot. What can you say except that MAFEX has some of the best articulation in the industry. The joints are buttery smooth and there's just about no pose you can't get him into. For posability, I'm giving Scarlet Spider 1 whole point. Moving on to playability, and that's where a MAFEX figure really shines. Starting with hands, and Scarlet Spider comes preloaded with fists, but he also has 5 additional sets. That includes a pair of wall crawling hands, a pair of web shooting hands, a pair of web holding hands, a pair of relaxed hands, and a pair of magnetic hands, which in combination with these alternate magnetic feet allow him to cling to metallic surfaces as if he's actually wall crawling. It's actually the same set of hand and feet options that came with Black Suit Spidey, but whereas it would have been easier enough just to keep them blank so they could have reused them, they actually went in and sculpted the lines on the back of the black suit costume. That means that while they are the same basic shape, these are newly tooled pieces. All of these hands cost MAFEX extra money that they didn't have to spend. I also love how they put the hands on these little trees for safe storage. That said, I'm pretty sure this alternate head is just direct reuse of the black costume, but hey, it is a pretty nice looking head, cuts a nice profile, and if you don't like it, there is this more jaggedy one. This one cuts an even meaner profile, you know, because it's pointy. If I did have one minor gripe, I would have much preferred an unmasked head to 2 additional masked ones, but one thing we do have is a lot of web lines. As with previous MAFEX Spideys, we have a couple of short thwips and a couple of medium thwips. I will say the web shooters do a pretty good job of hiding the effect. I'm also happy to report that the web shooters don't just fall off when you switch out the hands. He also comes with a couple of nice long drag lines that we've seen a few times now, but he also comes with 3 swirly spaghetti ones that I'm pretty sure are new to this figure. This one makes me want to break out into song. First we have these 2, which aren't identical, but they're pretty similar, snaking them in from the bottom, and they look really good. This one, however, had me a bit confused. Looking at the box and we see where he's supposed to be grabbing it, but this is solid, and the fingers don't separate. After messing with it for a few minutes, I accidentally discovered that this disconnects. Eureka! I will point out that these aren't instructions, and there is nothing on the box saying that that's what to do. Leastways, if there is, I can't read it. I gotta say, this really does bring me right back to a 90s Spider-Man comic. The best part is that all the webs are backwards compatible, so if you wanted to use it on your regular Spidey, you absolutely could, and you could also use his web effects with Scarlet Spider. As always, Scarlet Spider comes with a MAFEX fight stand, featuring several swappable parts. Even with an overabundance of options, playability is more than just accessories though. It's also about how well your figure plays with others. First off, and here we have our Marvel Legends. We've already compared it, so I won't linger. As for Ben Reilly, and here we have the Marvel Legends Hobgoblin Wave and the RetroCard version. Really kicking myself for not getting the MAFEX back when it was affordable. As for our good old-fashioned classic Peter Parker, and here we have the Marvel Legends Renew Your Vows 2-pack version and the Amazing Friends 3-pack. In terms of height and build, Scarlet Spider stands somewhere in between. That said, for the most important Spider-Man comparison, and here we have MAFEX. Putting them side by side, and I'm particularly impressed with how well the blues match considering that one of them's fabric. Here we have the MAFEX and Marvel Legends Black Costume Spider-Man. Probably an unpopular opinion, but I do prefer Legends in this case. Of course, where there's Black Costume Spider-Man, there's also As for some other villains, and here we have Toy Biz and Hasbro versions of the Green Goblin. This is who I really want to see MAFEX tackle. And then here we have the RetroCard Sandman, Retro Electro, Retro Mysterio, and Kraven the Hunter missing his belt and loincloth. Here's Doc Ock without his tentacles so I can get him in frame, and the 90s animated series version also without the tentacles. And then, just because I associate them with this era of the comic, and here we have Silvermane, the Prowler, who made me bump the camera in between takes, Demo Goblin, who I don't think I've ever put in a video before, Doppelganger, and Shriek. All we need now is Carry On to complete the set. Where there's Shriek, Carnage can't be too far behind, but there'd be no Carnage at all if it wasn't for Venom. Here's the Monster Venom Wave version, the Amazon exclusive Life Foundation 3-pack version, and the King in Black 2-pack version. Since he appears in Spider-Verse as a literal comic book character, here's Scarlet Spider with some figures from Into and Across. Of course, we can't talk about the Clone Saga without the Jackal and his weird wobbly legs, and Gwen Stacy. That said, for one more MAFEX comparison, and here we have Hush Batman. For a relative scale comparison, here's Scarlet Spider with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man. And as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Given how disinterested Medicom seems to be in making Spider-Man villains, I'm very grateful that MAFEX scales so well with Marvel Legends. And of course, I'm overwhelmed by all the wonderful accessories. For playability, I'm giving Scarlet Spider 1.5 points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I pre-ordered my Scarlet Spider from Big Bad Toy Store, whereas of this recording it's still available for $104. Had I only pre-ordered from Hobby Link Japan, it would have only been $75 plus international shipping, but it's no longer available there. $100 is a lot, but keep in mind he is never going to be this cheap again, so if you want him, get him while you can. Factoring in all the value in the box for price, I'm giving Scarlet Spider 1 whole point for a grand total of 5 out of 5. With MAFEX having made classic Spidey, Black Costume Spidey, and Ben Reilly's two most iconic designs, which look would you like to see them do next? Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, check out one of these. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.